How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Fear Street, The New Girl. This is from 1989 and is written by R.L. Stine, who you guys also know for writing Goosebumps. But yeah, the first Fear Street book. You guys might know I'm kind of new to the series. I saw the Netflix movies, and that obviously provided a source of interest for me, and in turn, I decided to finally track them down, and I'm really glad that Simon Pulse decided to re-release a bunch of books. A re-release is really great for people who are trying to get into this so you don't have to hunt down like rare copies of the old books. And I'd picked up The Runaway before this as an individual release, but this is cool. Simon Pulse put out the first 4 Fear Street books in this Fear Street The Beginning collection, but it only cost, the list price on the back here is $12.99 US. That's like 4 books for the price of 1. That's a pretty good value, like especially how thick it is. I think the individual releases cost around $10. So yeah, 4 for the price of 1 more or less. And I really am glad they did this. I mean, I think also back in the day there was a Fear Street The Beginning collection that had the first 3 in it. But this time around, 4. That's pretty cool. But anyway, this was a pretty good one to jump into. You see how this was essentially like the pilot for the series. And yeah, it is putting a good foot forward. And yeah, you can definitely see why this series went on as long as it did. A good, creepy story with some real-world implications and relations behind it. I thought this panned out pretty well. I'm going to talk a little bit about the plot and take a moment to analyze some plot points, but that being said, I won't be talking about the end. No spoilers here, so I won't talk anything about the end, but let's talk a little bit about the plot. We open up with Corey. He's a high school gymnast, and one day he sees Anna, the titular new girl. And he, of course, instantly falls in love with her, but the thing is, she's new. No one really knows anything about her, and she's kind of hard to find at school and hard to get close to. He eventually finds out where she lives, on Fear Street, of course, and when he goes over there, he meets her brother, who says, "Anna? No, Anna is dead." So this girl that was vague and hard to get to, now you're hearing she's dead. And what I really do like with this twist reveal is you don't know. Like the whole book, up until like the very end, you don't know if this girl is really dead and is really a ghost and that's why you're hard to connect to her, or is it something real world? Is there an actual problem? Is this much more on the true crime side of things? They start to suspect, what if she's not a ghost? What if her brother is like insanely overprotective and keeping her at the house and kind of like restraining her? Is the brother crazy? Or is this really a ghost? And we don't know. And they really do a good job where up until they tell you, you can really go either way on it. And I do really love that. But of course, with this focus on Anna, he is not focused on other things. He starts to fail with his friends. He starts to lose focus on his school studies. And he starts to mess up his gymnastics. So yeah, not really doing great there. And plus, he has one of his oldest friends, Lisa. Lisa, his next door neighbor, his old childhood friend, and definitely has a crush on him, he does not know. And that's one of the things that, man, talk about realistic. Guys can be totally clueless, and really, girls, just say something, you know? Like, guys will in no way know. And just to see how many hints, how many signs Lisa gives him, and him going, huh, I wonder why she did that. Oh man, yeah, no, this will bring up some memories. But anyway, I really did like this book. Now, previously on this channel, I mentioned I had read The Runaway. I did a whole review on that book. And in that book, I mentioned I'm not the biggest romance fan. And her in The Runaway just constantly going, oh, Nick, and Nick making these terrible decisions. That got a little frustrating. But the romance in here, I really did like more. And I think that is because it's a part of the plot, but the way it's woven in with all these real world parallels, and yeah, things that I can say that's part of the story here, but I get how it relates to real life in this slightly different way. For example, the idea that the girl he likes is in the same school as him, but he hardly ever sees her. As someone who grew up in a lot of big schools, this concept is super relatable. Every now and then you'd hear your friends talking about someone, and someone that's popular and goes to the school, and you're like, I've never met this person ever before. And you really start to see like I, every now and then we'll see someone who had like a shirt for like my favorite TV show, and I'm like, that person could be a cool person. Maybe we could be friends. But I would never have a class with them, and I would hardly ever even see them. And the idea that, you could be in school, same school as someone, but it's so big and you get put off in your own bubbles. And yeah, sometimes you just don't see people. Another really obvious parallel is the way that he lets his friends, he starts to get distance from them, as well as losing focus on gymnastics in his schoolwork. Boy, yeah, some people, I tell you, whenever someone would get a girlfriend, sometimes they would just disappear. And you'd have a friend that, was your good friend, but it's like, he has a girlfriend now, probably last about 2 months. See him again when he comes back. Because, yeah, when you're young, a lot of people tend to hyper-focus, girlfriend or first job or something like that, and just totally take all these other things that are important to them and just dump them out and focus on this one thing. And I had definitely seen that before. But also with the idea that you don't see her and you don't know what's going on, you start to wonder what's happening, looking at the house and going, what's going on in there? Is the brother being abusive? The idea that you want to help, but you just don't know, and wondering what horrible thing could happen behind closed doors? That is a scary, scary real-world thought right there. Wanting to help, but just not knowing, and what secrets they have. That's creepy. But yeah, there's few things scarier than getting that feeling in the back of your head that something's up, but never really knowing what's going on, if you need to help, and if so, how to. And yeah, that sort of, distance and keeping possible danger shrouded really got real world horror printed behind it. And I also want to say, in this first volume, Fear Street itself is really, really creepy. And I mean, this is the pilot book, you have to really sell it. And yeah, it's really creepy. When I read The Runaway, Fear Street was just kind of a location, because that was more a sci-fi book. But here, every time they have to go down there, you're like, oh man, they're going to Fear Street, because of course that's where the girl lives. And you get like stories and legends, you know, you have to build up the myth. And some of them are really creepy, and I would read a whole book about just that. For example, they say in the woods behind Fear Street, they found a murdered family. But the twist is, no one knows who they were. Some random family, dead. No one knows how or why or who they are. That is a creepy story that R.L. Stine tells in just a couple of sentences in here. But yeah, the legends, having to sneak in the street at night a lot of times, and it's dark and foggy, and you get the sense that you're alone and there's no one else there, and you're just creeping through the dark. Really, really scary. And also you get the sense that everyone who lives there is kind of odd. There's a reoccurring character of a nosy neighbor with a big Doberman, and, you know, just kind of always showing up when you least expect him, and always prying just a little too hard. Yeah, it really does feel like Silent Hill. Dark, foggy, creepy. Everyone who's there is just off and kind of weird. That's really fun. And of course, you know, this is Stine. The plot will have twists and turns. It'll always keep you guessing. And that brilliant idea of not even knowing if the main girl is dead or alive, that's cool. So overall, I really did like this book. Good concept, really good appearance of Fear Street itself, kept in a good amount of horror, and the mystery of not even knowing was cool as well. And the relationship and the drama had sources from real life stuff, you know, stuff I could relate to. And yeah, good start off for this series. If you guys kept up with the channel, when I talked about The Runaway, I mentioned that I started Secret Admirer. Well, shortly after that, I picked up this collection, and I'm like, I should put this down for a second and at least read book 1 out of here really quick, because it's book 1. But I will get back on Secret Admirer, and I will also try to read the rest of these that are in here. So hopefully I'll get to more Fear Street books really soon. Like with Runaway I mentioned there, these are all really nice, quick reads, and I really do like that. You know, almost like an episode of an anthology show, sitting there and in a day or two getting a new story, and yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my R.L. Stine playlist, where you can see my reviews for the Fear Street movies. I also already covered Runaway, and I talked about R.L. Stine's new comic book, Stuff of Nightmares. Pretty cool. The first story is a Frankenstein reanimator story. Definitely would recommend that one. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very soon. R.L. Stine playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.